with like the theme of the meeting. So this theme is Would You Rather, and I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to go, but I'm really excited. So pretty much I'm going to ask a question. You're going to give a 1 to 2 minute speech or impromptu speech and just answer the question as best as you can. And then I'll just call on someone if a volunteer doesn't come up after 10 seconds. So yeah. Could you share I have like a little PowerPoint thing that I thought would be easier if someone like saw the questions. So
let's see, I just made you a co-host, so you should be able to share your PowerPoint. If you look on the bottom on share screen.
Okay, so do this. How do I, present. Okay. Oh, not there. That was really far. Okay, would you rather? So, first question. Would you rather have one real get out of jail free card or a key that opens any door, and why? So like basically you could do any crime. Like you could go, grab $100 million out of a bank and nobody would catch you. Or you could just have a key that opens any door. Okay.
I'll start. So I would definitely do a key that can open any door. That's pretty much the key to the city, as I understand it. The key that can open any door. First off, it's definitely better because what you just said made me think of why it's way better. For example, robbing a bank. If I have the key that can open any door, I could just rob the bank, for example. So that was one reason right away. And then second, how many times have I come home and my door's locked? I don't know where my keys are? Easy, get in. I mean, does this key start my car as well? So I just need that key for everything. That would just eliminate so many things in my life. Pretty much would save me thousands, if not multiple thousands of dollars over the course of my life. Get out jail free card would be nice, but it seems kind of suspicious why I would need that in the first place. So I think the key of the city, as I would call it, it really would just be the best option. Got my key to my car, key to my friend's house. I mean, hey, they don't need to let me in anymore. I mean, I could just walk into restaurants a little early. They're like, hey, how'd you get in here? Oh, door is open, sorry. So I think that's really the best option. That's all I would say about that. Thanks, Tori.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I would agree with you there, because like if I lose my car keys, I can never find those things. Also, do I ask about time afterwards or before?
So everyone make sure that Tiffany's doing a good job keeping time, it looks like. Definitely at the end. But to help everyone, because we're going to vote and there's going to be 7 people, we're going to have the speaker just write down what they talked about, like write down key or whatever. But yes, so at the end.
Okay, cool. So I guess just go ahead and like put that in the chat, and then we will go ahead to the next one. So
wait, so do I need to put the exact time that your speech was, or I just do the warnings, right?
Yeah, just the warnings, because 1 minute, that means we're in time eligible for voting.
Okay.
So second question, would you rather be covered in fur or covered in scales, and why?
I can take this one.
Cool.
Okay, so I would 100% rather be covered in scales for one reason. If you're covered in fur, you're more likely to get sweaty. There's nothing worse than being all sticky and disgusting out in the heat. And if you're covered in scales, then it's pretty cool because you can just rub your hand across and it feels like nice and refined. It's a smooth surface. And then you rub it the other way and it has some more texture, it has more definition. So it's almost like a 2-for-1. I don't see why you wouldn't. And I imagine having scales would also make you better at swimming, just better in the water in general. So that's a great excuse to just jump into the lake, jump into the ocean, and have a great day. And it would be a good way to go fishing as well, because you would go into the ocean and the fish would confuse you for one of their own. Or at the very least, they'd be curious, like, what is this giant, scaly-looking creature? They would come up to you, and all you have to do is just reach out and yoink the fish. And there you go. You've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner all ready for you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great point. You would definitely not have to worry about dinner ever again if you really love fish. So that's really good. Thank you, Onur. Okay, so the next one is, would you rather know the history of every object that you touched or be able to talk to animals, and why? Two very different directions.
Can I take this one?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so the one I'd pick would obviously be the animal one, right? So we've all had like a pet dog or something, and you always see them like either sad, mad, or just like sitting there. You always wonder what is going in their mind. Like you want to know what they're thinking about, right? So I look over at like my grandparents' dogs, for example. So they're just like staring at each other and like barking, getting all mad. And sometimes I wonder, like, what did they do that caused this argument? Like I want to understand, like conceptualize this on like a human scale so I can like be like a mediator and help fix this. Because like it was a girl dog and a guy dog, they were like together, so I want to understand if they have any relationship issues, if I can help them, because I consider myself a very a mediator. So I'm a mediator, right? So I can help them get through their problems and they can work it together. And I think it'd also be cool just to like imagine you're in class or something, you see like a squirrel, you're walking around UGA, you see a squirrel, you'd have like a squirrel buddy that just like hits you up with like all the gossip around UGA or something. Like you know all the secrets, everything around campus. It would like be the best thing ever. Like, oh, the football, if the football team's coming through this road, this girl goes up to you and be like, hey man, football team's over here. If you go over here, you'll get be able to meet them or something like that. So I'd just be able to like know beforehand. I just think it'd be really useful. So I feel like you'd be able to do a lot more things talking to animals than you would be able to just like, sure, like I can get the history of like my pencil, but that's not going to be relevant to me. Like I know you were once wood and then like chopped down, but like I feel like talking to animals would really be the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree there. I always see this one girl on campus and I'm like, I wonder what you've been doing, you know? Like he's the one that like goes by Tate. He always like hangs out and runs across to the other side. I feel like you guys all know who I'm talking about. But thank you, Sourin. So the next one is, would you rather spend the rest of your life with a sailboat as your home or an RV as your home, and why? Okay, Scott.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, well, thanks, Tori. So, if I had to choose, I would probably spend the rest of my life on a sailboat, and the reason and the reason why is that it's a favorite pastime. You can pretty much fish while you're out at sea all the time, no matter how successful you are, though. So. It's a good pastime, and also if you're out to sea at times, then you have a better chance of traveling the world as opposed to if you're in an airplane. So think about where you could go if you go say from the Atlantic all the way from the eastern border of the States over into Europe, then you can at least see the coast of Europe and possibly the coast of the Mediterranean. And say if you travel from the Pacific on the western part of the U.S., where you could eventually see Southeast Asia, maybe the islands in the Pacific. And if you reach farther enough, maybe into Far East Asia. So if I had to think about it, I would want to spend the rest of my life on a sailboat just to be able to travel as much as I can. Thank you.
I know. I think most people love traveling, and I personally get seasick, so I don't know if a sailboat would be the best option, but thank you, Scott. So the next one is, would you rather be able to see 10 minutes into your own future or 10 minutes into the future of anyone else but yourself? So see 10 minutes into my future or your future, and why? Yeah, Tiffany, you got it.
Okay. Should I go ahead and also time myself? on this one, or can someone?
Yeah,
time
let someone
me
else do
for a
that.
minute? Okay.
I got you. Give me 1 second. All right, yeah, you're good.
So if I had the choice to either see 10 minutes into my own future or 10 minutes into someone else's, I think I would choose someone else's, just because I think it would be very stressful if I could see 10 minutes into my own future. And also 10 minutes isn't enough time for me to exactly do anything to change my future, which would be very frustrating. And so just when I first heard the question, I was thinking, oh, that would be great. I could see if I ended up doing well in an interview, if I did well in an exam. But an exam doesn't last 10 minutes either. And so usually those are things that doesn't matter what I feel now, or if I can see 10 minutes later. There's really nothing I can do, and I just stress out 10 minutes before it happened, which really doesn't seem pleasant. But I think being able to see 10 minutes into someone else's future, that means if they say that they have to leave now because of an excuse, I can see, are they really leaving because of that, or do they just not want to talk to me anymore? And I think it would also be really interesting just to see, I guess, what other people are doing with their lives and what kind of lives they live. Yep, that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. That was really accurate. I didn't even think about it like that, actually. That was accurate information. Thank you, Tiffany. So next, let's see. Would you rather have unlimited international first class tickets or never have to pay for food at restaurants, and why?
I can go ahead and answer this one.
Okay, cool.
So for me, for myself, as a broke college student, I would have to go immediately for the option to never having to pay for food at restaurants. I mean, just think of the cost savings alone. I don't know off the top of my head on how much I spend per month on each certain category, but definitely food is one of those categories where, one, you need it, and two, there's so much of them out there and so many different varieties that with the current resources I have as a student, there's no way I'd be able to possibly try everything. In my time in quarantine, when I go through YouTube and I look back on the videos where people travel to or like eat at some sort of unlimited buffet or some very niche or specialized type of cuisine, and the way they make it look so amazing. When I go back to the Philippines and visit my family, one of the there's a buffet there that has not only just Filipino food, but also Japanese ramen, Vietnamese pho, and other different cuisines. And oh my goodness, I could literally spend just entire time of a summer just staying at and going and exploring different restaurants. Now, to get to other places to try those different cuisines, would it be helpful and very beneficial to have those unlimited international tickets? Sure, yes, but eventually that's where having a job and paying for it and saving up for it would help. Why go international when there's a lot of different regional dishes here in the United States as well? Can make an entire road trip out of it. So for me personally, I'd have to go for the food. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. That's a very good point because you can definitely pay for those tickets. I mean, how much are you going to travel when you have a job, but you could get food anywhere. So that's a great point. Okay, so our next question is, would you rather be forced to dance every time you heard music or be forced to sing along to any song you heard, and why? Yes, Slate.
Definitely dance. Obvious reason. I don't think I can sing, but I think I can dance. Emphasis on the think. So that's this clear and dry answer, but on top of that, I think there's a good amount of songs I feel like I'm forced to dance anyway, so this really just would come naturally. But there's a few of those songs that would be embarrassing. It'd be unfortunate, but it'd be a lot better to dance to that song than to sing it. I am not musically inclined whatsoever, so I cannot name a single song as an example of a bad one, but in place a song that you could see Slate singing to, and I think you can see it. It'd be pretty rough trying to sing it, but I dance to it, and I think it just be it'd be awkward too, because like if I'm like in the elevator, it's like that. You always talk about, oh, have your elevator pitch ready. You could meet the CEO in the elevator. That song pops up in the elevator. All of a sudden, I just have to start jamming, and then he's just looking at me like, I hope I never see this man again. Thank you.
Thank you, Slate. Yes, that definitely makes sense. That'd be really funny if you got into the elevator with a CEO and not just start dancing or singing. Okay, so the next question. Oh, if my PowerPoint wants to. Oh. Would you rather move to a new city or town every week or never be able to leave the city or town you were born in, and why? Yes, Scott.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, guys. Well, as much as as much as I love my home in Kennesaw, and also as much as I like Athens, I would definitely want to try a new city or to town every week, because despite what people like to say about the U.S. as far as which the common perception you get of the U.S. is that unless you're in the city, then there's really nothing to do in the United States. But if one thinks about it, it's a bit our country. It's a big country out there. So rather you're going to a new city or a new town somewhere in the South, somewhere in New England, somewhere in the Mid-Atlantic, somewhere in the Midwest, you'd be surprised on what new communities you can find, what type of lifestyle there is, and you may never know that when you keep moving from each city to each town each week, you never know, you may come across a certain place where you feel at home, that you couldn't picture yourself anywhere else aside from that one place, and you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't given it a try to try each city or try each town. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You're never gonna know what you like unless you try it. So for sure, moving to a new city every week would be a lot of fun. All right. So next one, would you rather only be able to use a fork, no spoon, ever, or only be able to use a spoon, no fork, ever?
I'd like to take this one.
You got it.
So would you rather be able to use only a fork or only a spoon? So this is like a very tough question, but I'd have to go with the spoon. And there's a specific reason for this. So like with a fork, right, you can use like grab stuff like noodles, or just like most people prefer forks. I can generally see that. Like if you go to Bolton, all the forks are taken out. You just see the spoon just like sadly laying there. Everyone prefers forks for whatever reason. But like you can't like eat soup or whatever with a fork. Like it's just not physically possible. Like you put your fork inside, it just like starts water falling down. Like it's inconvenient. I feel like it wouldn't really work. But then you have the spoon, right? Its aerodynamic shape allows like a semicircular formation that allows you to pick up the liquid and allows you to enjoy your soup. But also, if you can get your spoon sharp enough on the sides, you can also use it to cut objects. But honestly, I feel like the best choice that we can make is a merger of these two, and that is the spork. So I feel like we should instead try to rationalize and decide that the spork is obviously the superior utensil out of both of these. So this isn't really a war. I feel like we should just simply come together and decide that the spork is obviously better than both of them. Thank you.
Yeah, I loved how you brought the spork in there. I mean, it wasn't an option, but that's a great combination. That's a deadly combination, seriously. Okay, thank you. So next question is, would you rather be able to control fire or water, and why?
I can go ahead and take this one.
Cool.
So recently, my brother was watching the Nickelodeon series of Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix, and kind of seeing the dynamic between the two. I would definitely, for me personally, would have to go with water. With fire, you can extinguish it out as long as you take out the source of oxygen. And then once the oxygen's out, you're kind of limited to what you can do and what's the point of having a superpower at that point. With water, water covers so much of the Earth's surface, that you can, I don't know, maybe surf from one end of the world to another continent. Or if you're in a very sticky situation, and hopefully it doesn't happen, but you're in some sort of, you're going against somebody, you can kind of manipulate the water molecules in their body and kind of escape into safety. That's a little bit morbid, but the fact of the matter is water is more present wherever you are in any situation, whether from a water fountain or a physical fountain that's actually there, or someone's water bottle, or point of reason, water is there in most, if not all, of the places that I would likely be able to be going to physically. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. Yeah, I can't believe your brother watches The Last Airbender. I used to love that show. But yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, water is everywhere, so that would be really, really powerful. So next question, would you rather live without the internet or live without AC and heating? It's a tough one because I don't think I could do either. Slate.
Definitely internet. And I say this kind of cheap wise because what I almost already do. I'd say without AC and heating, have internet, because almost every summer my AC and heating seems to go out, and it's awful. Right now I'm sweating. So I'm kind of cheating with this one, and I can relate to it. So, but more of the fact, I need to have internet. I wouldn't be here without internet. I'm talking to you from my Wi-Fi on my computer. I want to be able to do homework, look up the news, do pretty much anything I do at all in my daily life. I'd say at least 90% of what I do is on the internet. Even like if I read a book, it's with Wi-Fi. Heating and AC, it sucks. You know, it would suck even if I did have it working, but I think it'd be more bearable than no internet for sure, because it's how you connect with people. I think I'd go, sweating or freezing compared to going and saying. That's how I'm viewing it. So I think I have to go without internet. Between, there's all those silly memes out there of like kids with their phones, all those like old people memes. That's pretty much it's true. And I'll leave with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Slate. Yeah, I love how you brought the memes in there. I've seen those actually, so that makes sense. I agree. Without the internet is like the universe basically now. So, all right. So the next question is: would you rather be able to teleport anywhere or be able to read minds, and why?
Can I take this one?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So without a doubt, I'd want to be able to read minds, because especially in like an interview setting or any setting where you're talking with someone, you always want to know, oh, what are they thinking? Or you might be curious, like, oh, what do they think about that? So it's good to know what their thoughts are and how you can proceed from there. But the bigger reason is if you're able to teleport everywhere, then that takes out the whole journey to get there. And on that journey, that gives you an opportunity to really enjoy it. You could, I don't know, for example, to go to Athens, that car ride, it's a little over an hour, but it's just an open stretch of road. Most of the time, you can just coast downhill, go pretty fast, listen to some good music, and really just enjoy the scenery. And sometimes in life, the best part isn't your destination, it's the journey that gets you there. So if you could teleport, you would be missing out on the best part. Thank you.
Very true. It is not, I agree, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So very great insight. Thank you. So the next question that we have today is, would you rather have a pause button in your life or a rewind button? I'm like 3, 2. Scott, do you want to go ahead and take this? Oh, Tiffany, sorry, I didn't see your hand. You got it.
I think if I had a choice between a pause button or a rewind button, I would choose a rewind button because essentially, well, that's if when I rewind, I get to actually remember what I did the first time around. Because essentially, I would still technically be pausing my life. If I've done it once already, I could know if that was the most beneficial use of my time or not. A pause button, if everything else in my life would be paused, I feel like I would not be able to do as much. Just because everything else is paused, I wouldn't be able to, most of the time, yes, sometimes I want to sleep more, but usually it's, I want to go somewhere, I want to see people, talk to people, and if it's all on pause, that means I can't do that anyways, or even if it's studying for an exam, but that means if I rewind, I still get that same amount of time to study for an exam or prep for something. But I definitely think rewind's more useful because for like the common example of a lot of interviews, if I mess up one question, I can always redo it. Or if I have a terrible interaction with someone, a terrible date, I can